tape for quite a while, and we're back. And this is the day before Thanksgiving.
And we're thankful to be here, grateful to be here, and
we're
grateful for you guys watching.
Yes, we're grateful for our listening audience, our viewing audience, I should say. And I have with me a whole list of subjects that were sent in, and I want you to keep sending in subjects that you want us to talk about. Some we've done already, like divorce.
But we can revisit those because there's always new stuff coming up, and also a lot of people don't see the first ones that we do, because we were sort of new and just getting started. So there's always room for more.
Absolutely. And when I hope at your Thanksgiving table, you were reminded of the first Thanksgiving dinner, when it was Christ's Last Supper, and they all gave thanks. So we have a lot to be grateful for, and I hope you all had a blessed Thanksgiving.
Yeah, for us today is Wednesday. We're recording this on Wednesday, which is the day before Thanksgiving, and I've been ruminating all morning about how many things I have to be thankful for, because yesterday I was ruminating about how many things I was angry about. So I decided to change the tape in my head, and hopefully that's what we'll do with you guys. We're going to talk a little bit today about fighting, about fair fighting. How do you disagree fair? Everybody in every relationship, whether it's at work or with your significant other, with your children, with your neighbors, disagreements come up, and there's ways to fight fair and disagree fairly so that resolution happens, and there's ways that prolong it. You know, the anger can fester inside of you so much that it gets prolonged instead of resolved. One of the ways that corporations are now using is diffusing anger, is showing how to diffuse anger with humor. I'm not so sure how good I'd be at that.
No.
But I have one of my children, my middle son Mark, always made me laugh, and my mother used to say, "You don't discipline that child." And I couldn't, because there was always something he did that in the middle of what I should have been castigating him for, there was always something he did or said that made me laugh, and it changed the whole tenor of what we were talking about. So if that can happen between a mother and a child, it can certainly happen between adults. Can you think of situations that talking about between spouses, how that can be resolved? First of all, there can't be any blame. You have to start out with the fact that blame is out of the picture.
Well, I think arguing between couples, one way I would say is write down what you're upset about and then have it for discussion.
And how about staying on message? Because sometimes when we argue or we bring in, what happened 10 years ago or some kind of related subject, but if you pick your subject, if you decide what you're angry about, or if you decide what the disagreement's about, and you stay on message, I think it's resolved more quickly. Also, instead of saying, you did this or you did that, put it in the I, put it in the first person. I feel thus and such when you do thus and such. Your behavior in this way, when you behave that way, it makes me feel this way. So that you're not blaming, what you're doing is expressing your feelings and what negativity is brought out by the situation.
Now, I'm going to say something that
I'm going to disagree with.
yeah. Someone once told me that when a husband and wife are fighting, the wife has a capacity to remember things that happened 25 years ago and throw them in the pot. Is that true?
That's what I try not to do. I do think about that a lot, and I want to. Sometimes I want to. There'll be a disagreement that we're having, and I can think of so many things that are related. Like on top of that, you did this, which was like that. But again, it's important to stay on message. It's important to stay with the topic if you want to get it resolved. Sometimes people just want to fight. I think sometimes that there's an ornery gene that all of us have, and some people just want to argue. There are people who are very argumentative, and it's their way of communicating.
It's a discontent gene, I call it. Because I noticed that beyond the couples, that some of the worst fights have been between people in the church.
Yeah, where there shouldn't, you would think there would be.
Where there shouldn't be. And I think it's one thing that turns young people off from the church. When they see their elders, their role models, act like little kids. It could be about the quality of the dough while they're baking something, or the amount of butter they put in in making a sweet. But also I found that when it comes to people in leadership in the church, some people claim so much ownership over what's occurring in the church that they become rather judgmental. And the church has a lot of Mary martyrs. Well, I did this and I did that, and what did you do? Well, that person wanted to do it, and should not lord it over someone that didn't do what she did or he did.
Well, there are a lot of reasons why people volunteer in the church. Not all of them are altruistic. The church has a tendency to draw all sorts of people with many needs, which is a good place for them. I mean, if you have a lot of needs, if you have needs, go to Christ. I mean, He's the answer to everything. But sometimes those needs are for praise or for wanting to be a leader or for wanting recognition. And if people around are aware of that, they can be compassionate towards those people and help them. Sorry, go ahead.
Some people just want to be thanked. And if you admit thanking them, God help you. Especially the priest. But I was at a dinner some years ago where the sponsor of the dinner, and it cost a fortune for that particular dinner. They never mentioned.
You mean to get into the dinner?
No. With the whole dinner, he paid for the whole dinner.
Oh, he underwrote it.
He underwrote it, and no one ever mentioned his name. So afterwards, I said, were you offended? He said, no. He says, I didn't do it for me. I did it so that this event would be a success, and I'm happy that it was. And other times people will donate flowers, and if they're not thanked for donating the flowers, they get their noses bent out of shape and start yelling at the priest or the chairperson, whoever that may be. But I think we need to prioritize our anger, number one. Number two, if someone has something that is bothering them, and I've always been a confrontationalist.
You sure have.
That is to say, in my years as a priest, I would ask that person that I know had something stewing in them out to lunch and bring it to a head, or have a meeting and say, what is your beef? Lay it on the table so we can settle it. But I think when you have presupposed suppositions and you think things or suppose things without any proof, it leads to whether it could be your wife or someone in the church.
Yeah, a lot of stuff goes on in our head. So I think you brought up a really good point about stopping that as soon as it starts. As soon as you have a feeling, or if you're thinking something is wrong, or you have, as you say, a beef, if you've got a beef with someone or about something, address that before it festers. That's one way to avoid real problems down the line. Is to get out in front of it. That they're using that phrase a lot these days. Get out in front of it. But it makes really good sense that if something is on your mind, say it. And by the way, say it honestly and truthfully, but with compassion, because
and some humility.
Because we say that honesty without compassion can be very cruel, can be brutal.
And if, whatever, to get back to the husband and wife relationship, wives, don't hide the bills. I once had a wife that never paid a bill, and she hid them all over the house.
You once had a wife?
No, I once had a parishioner. I once had a parishioner.
Because that would be me. And I did, in our
early days. Actually, you did that.
In our early days, I did. When we were first married, the first few years, I hid bills and
I stick my hand under the cover, and all of a sudden, the bill would pop out.
Or under the car seat, yeah.
So, all in all, pray.
All in all, it's time to wrap up.
Pray.
Pray.
Pray before you speak.
See you next time. Thanks.
And ask God for guidance. God bless you.